If you look at the last 10, 20, or even 30 years of gaming, so much has changed in terms of what we expect from video games. We went from platformers and RPGs being the norm to FPSs and lengthy adventure games dominating the industry. Today, Battle Royale games are the hottest thing, whether real gamers want to admit it or not, but otherwise there's a pretty wide variety of games. Obviously when trends change, so do people's preferences, and I'm no exception. I've talked about my taste in gaming changing as I grow older in another video, but one of the things that's remained constant in my video game preferences from the very start is my love for multiplayer games. When I say multiplayer though, I mean less Fortnite and Halo, more Mario Party, Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Bomberman, stick fight kind of thing. From Crash Nitro Kart and this obscure game I had called Mythmaker's Super Kart on PS2 where you could, I think from what I remember, race as like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and stuff, to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled on the Switch. I've always loved kart racers because of A, the thrill you get from drifting and boosting past your opponents, and B, the right to endlessly trash talk your opponents after drifting and boosting past them all. Between Nitro Kart and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe though, there was one game that, to me, has yet to be topped by any other kart racer out there. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. I'm sure most people know this by now, but just for those that don't, rather than keeping most of what makes a kart racer and differentiating itself from other games in the genre by reskinning items or adding a different drift and or boost system, Transformed innovates and stands out by adding flying and boating to its races. Flying and boating add something new to the typical kart racing formula. I mean, if you look back at most kart racers, yes, the physics and drift mechanics change, and the items are obviously different, and one game may have a gimmick that's different than every other game in the series, but really, how different is CTR Nitro Fueled from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, for instance? Even if you answer that question with, technically, as kart racers, they're pretty different, consider the difference between Transformed and Mario Kart 8. The difference between those games is much bigger than the former comparison. And not every game needs to be that different to be fun, true, but the reason I love Transformed the most is because it is that different. They make the tracks feel so much more interesting because in most cases they'll have you transform into at least one other type of vehicle either during or after each lap. They also make winning feel much more like a result of mastering the controls for each vehicle type and memorizing the whole track rather than relying on items and playing the same lap on loop 3 times. And to be clear, I don't doubt that some, or even most people honestly, prefer the way Mario Kart works over Transformed. And I love playing Mario Kart as much as the next guy, trust me, but I definitely like the overall experience I get from playing Transformed more than the one I get from Mario Kart. Because each track has to change stuff up every lap to fit in at least one flying and or boating segment, they end up feeling energetic and dynamic, like you're not just racing on a fixed track, but in the actual locations the stages take place in. It is honestly hard for me to pick out a favorite track in this game because most of them are super fun, thanks to the ability to swap out vehicles. For example, I love Rogue's Landing because it puts you in the middle of an all-out war between flying ships, making the track break down more and more until there's nothing left in the third lap and you're just left to fly instead of drive. I love Dream Valley because of the different segments that it teleports you to that feel like mini challenges where you can either show off your skill by flipping around in the air or fumble around and fall behind, which again makes the game feel like it relies more on skill than items. I love Burning Depths because it's super fast paced, it's got lots of corners to drift in, and the whole track just floods more and more throughout the race until there's almost nothing left but water to boat on. There's alarms blaring, a voice in the background telling you to evacuate, glass cracking, water pouring. It is a difficult track, yes, but it also makes a big deal out of its presentation. Not all the tracks are great though, this one sucks. I don't know if that's something that everyone who plays the game thinks or not, but I hate it. And it's not just the flying and boating that I love about Transformed. The items in this game feel so much more aggressive and quicker to use than in other kart racing games where they do that thing. You know, that thing where you're on the last lap praying for a good item and the item indicator is just like... Oh look, a coin. Yay. Getting your item instantly and having the announcer shout out which item you got makes everything feel more theatrical and chaotic. Which, if you know me, you know that if there's anything I look for in multiplayer games, it's chaos. The World Cup mode also makes the game more than just a multiplayer kart racer. There are some actually pretty hard challenges in here that it has you go through if you want to unlock everything, as opposed to just AI races over and over again. And obviously you're going to want to unlock all the characters, they're pretty iconic. Sonic characters, Ai, Amigo, Knights, and of course everyone's favorite,
Danica Patrick unlocked!
Honestly, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I completely forgot she was in this game. There are challenges where the timer goes down if you're not boosting, ring challenges, boss races, races where you can't get hit more than 3 times, but you can eliminate others by hitting them 3 times as well. There's so much variety, and it makes the single player stuff feel like more than just racing AI on the same tracks you could be playing with people online if you already had everything unlocked. You know what the best part of Transformed is though? They made a sequel! Yep, another Sonic racing game from the same studio nonetheless. Now, you'd think with this sequel they'd continue the idea that practically everyone and their mother praised being vehicle swapping, and iterate on the idea even further, or even just keep the idea the same and add new tracks. That way, there's an option for people who enjoy traditional kart racers, and an option for people who want more out of them. Well, if you were hoping for that, like I was, I have great news. They didn't do it. Sumo Digital did make a follow-up to Transform last year, but it's without the flying and boating. Instead, it's back to normal, except now you have allies on the track with you and wisps or something. I don't know, whatever. Maybe one day they'll go back to the idea of vehicle transformations, or another game will do it, or maybe it'll be a while before we see anything like that ever again. It's just upsetting that they had the chance to work on the idea more and make more games like it, and then they just didn't, for whatever reason. I mean, whatever. It really doesn't matter that much, does it? It's not like Transformed is going anywhere. Right? Digital games, they're good, right? They stay forever? Alright, cool.